going on, boys and girls? Welcome to a lamenting show here on Isles Talk. Oh, the season is over. The series is over, but that doesn't mean we can't stir the pot a little bit to help you get into the summer here. So my name is Paul Kreischer. I am one of your hosts here this evening. Joining me as always, Gary Harding. Gary, how are you?
Hi, Paul. I'm all right. I'm not jumping off anything. It's all good.
Yeah. Don't jump off the ledge. And also joining us this evening, Joe Panettiere. Joe, how are you, bud?
Good. What's up, guys? Just finished
Yeah,
another
no,
bottle
we-
of Tums.
Yeah. No, listen. It is lamenting season right now. A lot of people are, when we're not going to get to the draft. Hold on, Jesus Lord, that's going to be like 45 minutes into the show. Knock it off, Charles. So, listen, lamenting time. Guys, look, this was for me, it was a decent season. I'm sorry, a decent series. We had the lead in one game and we blew that, and it just looked like the Islanders were trailing the rest of the way. It went 5 games. Most people outside of Long Island had Carolina winning in 5 games, and that's exactly what happened. Could this have gone a little longer? Sure. Should it have gone a little longer? Sure.
Mhm.
And I think that's where we're gonna, head off here into the season. This is a team that probably should have at least extended the series a little bit longer. But Gary, give me your thoughts on this series.
We said it obviously before the series started that Carolina was the number one odds in Vegas to advance to the Stanley Cup, and you're seeing why they are. Our team was in the game for a good part of it, and I think they played the best they could, but I don't think it was that we necessarily, it may have looked to the viewer that we played very bad. I think Carolina is just that very good, and that's just the bottom line. Joe and I said Islanders in 7. We thought it was going to go that way, but this team is going to provide a tough go for the Rangers next series. How would you say that? Whether they won in 5 or they won in 7, they're going to give the Rangers a tough time. They're going to give every team they play against a tough time. Despite the things that happened, I think as the series progressed, they played a lot better as far as keeping chances down to Carolina. But Carolina's just that much better, and I hate to put officiating in it, but there were so many phantom calls this series, and again, I always say you win despite the officiating, but I have my chin up. I'm still have my head high. We were saying in March 1st that we had no shot of making the playoffs. We were just about done. We were writing the eulogy then, and here it is, May 1st, and we're only talking about the eulogy now. So, kudos on that.
Joe?
Well, we got outworked in most of every game. Puck luck, we had none, really. I mean, I've never seen a team come out tied for a third period in a playoff game and just have a puck go over someone's stick and ends up in the net. A puck shot around the boards, it comes out front, it's in the net. I mean, all that energy that they had going into that locker room after that period was gone in the first couple of minutes of that third period. I mean, it just everything got taken away. I've never seen a series like that where a team got outworked, outplayed in a playoff game the way they got outworked and still was in every game, but just didn't get that big break.
Right.
So you have a 3-0 lead, and the other team just keeps coming at you. It was like they were on a power play for 40 minutes. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Mhm.
I've never seen anything like that. I mean, you talk about the ice being tilted. I mean, the ice was up and down in that game. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. But they didn't give up. I mean, you got to hand it to them. I mean, that's a character builder for the young guys. I mean, guys like Clutterbuck and Martin and all the older guys coming in and making that series at least competitive when it shouldn't have been. I mean, everybody had us getting swept, and we were in every one of those games, and things just fell apart. I say puck luck. I mean, the breaks didn't go our way; it went their way.
Oh, very true. And again, I was asked before, not off air by a couple of other regulars who watch the show. Why did I pick Carolina to win? And in all honesty, folks, it goes back to the preseason. You can tell right off the bat who's really going to make a good deep run, especially after you add the way they did to Carolina, the way they did. And for me, the Islanders, I'm very thankful that they got that tenacity back under Patrick Waugh, that not giving up mentality and getting themselves into the playoffs. Um, was it a successful season? I don't think so. Was it a good season? Yes. I'm one of those that would rather make the playoffs than not make the playoffs after what they just went through in that first half. Like that first half for me, that first half for me was one of the craziest half seasons I've ever witnessed. And then for Waugh to come in, I don't want to say fix it, but steer the players aligned again for a playoff hunt and make them believe in themselves. The Islanders needed that before anything else. That for me, that's the only taking we can have for this series. The Islanders, I don't know if they found their identity, but they found belief. They found belief. They found belief in themselves. They got themselves into the playoffs. And look, we've said it before, a little more puck luck, a little more, things to go the Islanders' way. We're still playing. We may have at least a game 6 tomorrow. So, yeah, a lot of people had the Canes in 6, Canes in 7. Everyone outside of Long Island, folks, they had the Canes in 5. But it was a very close, 5 games. The Islanders only got outscored, 5-on-5 by a total of 4 goals? Something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it was close. So, kudos to the Islanders for getting to the playoffs. We'll see what we go from there. We're going to continue to lament here a little bit longer, but I got to talk about Game 4. I got to talk about UBS, and it was one of those situations, and I got to give Gary the credit here. You really can't talk about UBS until you've actually been there, and it was getting to that point where I needed to show up.
Oh, we would have killed them.
I know. I would have gone missing. Joe would have helped with that, and you can't have Isles talk now.
Right?
Gary has the keys to this show as well now, so yeah, there can be shows without me at this point. Listen, Malkin and Ledecky did it right. They really did. The place is beautiful. They did the fans justice for this one, and I understood the pricing for everything, the why everything is priced the way it is. But the place is beautiful. It really is. It didn't feel like an arena. It almost felt like home in a sense. You walk into Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, you knew you were home. But man, you walk into that entire area.
Campus.
For me, it kind of felt like home. Yeah.
It's called the campus. It's not called an arena.
Campus?
It's called the campus.
Okay. You know, for me, in all honesty, walking through woods, welcome to PA. So for me, it kind of got that little, homey feeling to it. But, you walk around and it's just like, oh yeah, this is something Islander fans have been longing for. It's something they've deserved. And I'm very, very, very happy for Islander fans and the way they got that arena and everything else. But getting to the actual game, I thought the sight lines were okay. I shouldn't say okay; they were very good for that arena. Not as loud as Nassau, but I don't think they're going to make old barns like that anymore. But you can still feel the enthusiasm. You can still feel the passion of Islander fans in that arena. I don't think you can do that at Madison Square Garden. You might be able to do that at the Rock, but I may give that edge to UBS still. There's a couple of other places there you just feel big. I don't want to compare it to Montreal. Montreal is like in the cathedral all in itself. But it's there. It's there. And a long playoff run at some point will do Islander fans. It'll do that place justice. So, getting to that actual game though, and again, credit goes to Gary. Watching the game live is a little different than watching it on TV, and I needed to see that because then I can really get a good look at some of the players. And I know, we may have some player changes and whatnot, but I know Matt Barzal had a phenomenal season, but there's some things that you can tell on the ice that you can't tell on TV. Matt Barzal created that one turnover to have Robert Bortuzzo make that stupid penalty, and the tie game is 2-2. On TV, you may not see that. So for all the praising Matt Barzal got and well deserved, for me personally, after watching that game, Matt Barzal needs another winger. We're still looking for that winger for Matt Barzal because he just can't have Bo Horvat as one option. And I love Casey, but you need someone else to get that puck to that other winger. Barzal, the other teams are basically waiting for Matt Barzal again to just enter the zone, and they don't care if he's holding on to the puck. That's the problem that I saw. They don't care if he's holding on the puck because most of the time it's either a pass to Bo Horvat or he's just holding on to the puck. So you give Matt Barzal and Bo Horvat another weapon like that. Oh my Lord. But we'll get into that a little bit further into the season. But no, I loved UBS. You guys absolutely deserved it. I do like the igloo. I'm not going to lie. I was looking around the whole thing myself and I'm like, I can make this. So I'm actually planning on making an igloo somewhere in the back here and setting all that up. And it's like, yeah, Tractory, Factor Tractory, Factor Tractory. Yeah. That's going to happen. So, no, kudos to you guys.
That's not much to do in Pennsylvania, huh?
No.
He's going to be making moonshine in that igloo.
Yeah, you could. And believe me, we make them really good up here too.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I know you know. I know you know. So, yeah, all right. So let's move on a little bit now.
Yeah, actually, this is not a bad idea to bring this up. And let me ask you guys, because you guys got a little bit more of a pulse of it than I do. I was at a viewing party last night and there were a bunch of people talking about it. And I really want your thoughts on this. I mean, what do you guys think about the possible prospect? Do you think this was Matt Martin's last game? And do you think that Cal Clutterbuck also played his last game? Do you think there's a possibility they may sign him? You guys sometimes have your ears to a lot of people. What do you think?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I think we saw Maddie's last game. I think as an Islander, he's done. I don't know about anywhere else, but I think we're going to see Clutterbuck back in an Islander uniform.
Really?
Well, listen, this was one of his healthiest seasons.
Valid point. That's a
Okay.
valid point.
What's his contract now? 1 point something?
I think it's 175.
Okay, so why not? I mean, he doesn't hurt you. He doesn't hurt you. Oh, we knew Thomas was going to say something like that. That's okay. Lou's going to be around for another 8 years, so why not Clutterbuck? No, all honesty, I think we see Clutterbuck back.
Boss has a client who's Clutter's neighbor in Garden City, and according to my boss, Clutter is retiring. That's interesting. Why not? In all honesty, I think if the Islanders, I think the Islanders have to keep their door open for Clutterbuck. Only because at this point, if they're working anywhere in the minor league system, I don't think there's a right winger ready yet to replace Clutterbuck. Yes, you can find him on the free agent list. You could put Fashing on there or whatnot, but I would not be shocked if the Islanders at least kept the door open for Cal Clutterbuck.
Well, when you think about it, guys, here's another thought to bring up. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think according to Cap Friendly, we're in the range of $6 million,
Yep.
5.5 maybe. But if you bring a couple of guys up, you down or whatever, you're looking at about $6 million. So you've got a couple people you've got to sign. You know, I again, as somebody mentioned, I think Mike Riley has to underline, bold, italic, be re-signed to this team. He was the unsung hero. Mike Riley.
Ooh.
I think he's the most. To me, he's the unsung hero this year.
I agree.
I agree with that.
I agree, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Oh God, here we go.
Hey, for those of you calling for a retool or a rebuild, why would you bring back Mike Riley when you have a youngster and Samuel Bolduc ready to go? Possibly ready to go.
That's the key word.
I don't think he's ready yet. I don't think he's ready yet.
What's that, Joe?
Key word there is possibly.
Sure.
I don't think
Simon Holmstrom got this year. Kind of surprised all of us. If you really want to retool,
I would say let me put this point in. I think if Bolduc didn't sit on the bench for 35 games, I would have a different answer to you. But to me, he's going to be flat. He lost a half a year. And you don't lose a half a year and get pushed into a spot. At least Simon Holmstrom was playing all year in Bridgeport, doing a decent job, and had the chance to come up and made his presence. To me, I think unfortunately, I think the Islanders stunted him. I think he's going to need one more year. He's got to play. And I don't think you push him in after not being playing maybe one of the last 40 games. Just don't think so.
Okay. I'm just saying for the whole Randy. I hate Randy. I really do hate Randy. I love you, Randy, but I hate you. Listen, if we're going to do a retool, if guys want changes, Riley's 30 years old. You don't want old players on here anymore.
Well, I don't call 30 old, but
well, I don't call 30 old either. And you're both correct. Both Clutter and Riley have earned a contract. But you got to have one or the other. You can't. I don't know if you're going to have two. Look, the advantage that Clutterbuck has is that there really isn't anyone coming up from Bridgeport at the moment who can replace Clutterbuck. They can and they will. We'll get into that later. But, you know, Mike Riley over Samuel Bolduc. I don't know. I also look at it this way. Adam Pelech had a lot of injuries this year, a lot of games missed.
Mhm.
Mike Riley is eventually not replacing Adam Pelech. If anybody can at some point, it would be Samuel Bolduc. And this is not to say, this is just a healthy debate here.
Absolutely.
This is an excellent
Yeah.
case here for either player. But again, what are the Islanders going to do at that point? I don't know. Me personally, I would love to see Mike Riley come back for another year or two, knowing that he could be a seventh defenseman as well. That's fine. Camp, coaches, that's going to be the other thing. Coaching is going to be the big one for us folks. Who's going to be back as coach?
You also remember you got somebody else coming back.
Who's that?
Everybody forgets about Scotty Mayfield.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Scotty Mayfield. Yeah.
Everybody forgets
Yeah.
about him. That's why I still say when I put the decision with Bolduc in is, because he hasn't. Again, the good thing is he's young. He's 22, right? 22, 23.
Right.
So I think because you didn't play him for a half a year, and again, it's tough when you have that guy that's in the number either in the 13th spot forward or the 7th spot defenseman, and they don't get a lot of playing time. They're going to need something to do, and it's a shame they couldn't move him back and forth. But he needs seasoning again. It's like having a guy miss 6 months with a knee injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's gonna need some time. He better have the most unbelievable offseason of his life if he really wants a position.
Yeah, Jim, I think we all agree with this one. Love Bortuzzo, but hard to see him back. I think we're all going to agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a yeoman, he's a warrior, but that's what his job was just to fill in for Scotty.
Yeah. Islanders could replace Clutterbuck with Gauthier. And Gauthier probably could have replaced Matt Martin on that fourth line, but they put Ishikov in there instead. So I'm going to hold off on that thought for a moment, Tommy. I know where you're going with that, but there's a couple of can of worms that probably got opened with all of that. But let's see what happens with that little scenario a little later on. So no, I like that. That's a nice little healthy debate, bringing back Riley. Or do we do a retool? If you're going to do if the Islanders are genuine about doing a retool, we'll see what happens. We'll find out their intentions. But in all honesty, Gary, getting back to your original questions, I think the Islanders are going to open up that door for him, and whether he comes back, I think that's up to him.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
No. So, all right, we've talked about enough with the Islanders. Real quick, thoughts on the NHL playoffs, gentlemen. This is my college basketball. This is my time. My phone. It's not off, but a lot of my friends are ignored. Most of my friends know I'm watching hockey, so that's why they continue to text and bug me. I'm loving that Dallas Vegas series. That's a conference finals matchup in the first round right now. Gary, what's the score? Or Joe, what's the score?
I think it's
2-2.
2-2. It's 2-2 after one.
Beautiful. It's a shame that's going there in the first round, but at the same time, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, again, the home team has lost every game of the series so far, which is great. That's exciting. From what I saw before we went on the air, the first few minutes I was looking at it, a lot of hitting. It looked really intense. They put Hill back in net. Because I think they knew in the two games that Dallas won in Vegas, they were going high on Thompson all the time, and it was working wonders.
Yep.
So they went to the Stanley Cup winning goaltender Hill, and we'll see what that. I mean, he's given up 2 goals already so far, but I'm really looking forward to the game later on tonight and see if my pick, because I picked the Edmonton Oilers. I know. Again, I will state I am not necessarily an Edmonton Oiler fan. I just thought from my hockey mind that they could do it. And
Thomas,
they're doing the things that
show for at least a month.
they're doing the things that they needed to do right, to get this far.
Thomas, you're going to get cut off from this show for at least a month. Edmonton Cup. No, we do
Trying,
not
Tom.
want to give
We'll both get
Gary.
on mute.
We don't want to give Gary that much respect. We love him, but we don't want to do that. Listen, let's go back to the Eastern Conference real quick here. Florida disposed of Tampa Bay
No
quite
surprise.
handily. Is it safe to say, Joe, that this is Florida's conference to lose, or is Carolina going to be that much of a threat against the Rangers? Give me your thoughts on that.
Oh. I think Carolina is going to give the Rangers all they can handle, and they're going to take them out. I think it's going to be an excellent series, but Carolina could play any type of game you want to play, and that's what's scary about them. The Rangers don't want to play a grinding game. That we know, and Carolina is one of the best teams scoring off the rush, which the Rangers like to play that game. So I'm curious to see how Brindamore is going to have them start that series. Are they going to tenderize the Rangers the first game, or are they going to say, "Hey, you want to run and gun? We're going to beat you at your game." Well, we'll see. Florida, yeah, I give them the edge to win the East. Absolutely,
Okay.
and I think Boston's in trouble now. I think Toronto's going to win that series.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, we don't want to write off Toronto and Boston against Florida, but in all honesty, Gary, they haven't really shown me enough yet to really think they're going to be much of a threat against Florida. But
No, absolutely
again,
not.
stranger things have happened.
No, absolutely not. Because just when you think you can, knock Toronto out of the water, they come servicing back. They had a good win last night without their star. And we know there's been trouble in paradise between the guys and them screaming at each other and all that. But Toronto, one thing about Toronto, they're a very resilient team. Now they broke Joseph Ball in net, and he was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Could that be the missing link thing? Maybe. You're bringing it back to Toronto, and hopefully a loud arena, could see something happen. But to me, I just want to go back to the Carolina Rangers series because we always say the Rangers' biggest weapon is their special teams play. But to me, Carolina's special teams are just as good as the Rangers, and in the penalty killing side, even better.
Right.
So I think, and again, we all said it before the playoffs. If we were going to have to play the Rangers were 23rd in the league in 5-on-5 play. The special teams got them to where they are, and they're going to play a team that's again, as Joe was saying, can play any type of game you want. You want them off the rush, they're going to do that. You want to bang them like crazy, bang the team like crazy, they'll do that too. And we all know they can take 100 shots a game from all over anywhere on the ice. So whatever the Rangers put out for them, they'll match them. And that's what's going to make this series exciting. I'm not picking a winner on it. I won't. But I think the one that survives that is going to have an even nastier thing when Florida comes into town, because I just don't see them losing the second round, whether it's Boston or Toronto. I really don't. To me, Florida is deep end to end, and Bob is playing like Bob. And if he keeps that up, I don't see anybody stopping them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw in this little two nuggets here with the Rangers and Carolina. There is a small part of me that actually wants the Rangers to beat Carolina, and I'm gonna answer why here.
Brother, cousin.
Well, no, not to appease my family members. They already know where they are. They know where I stand at the moment. But when it's about the Stanley Cup, you try not to hand out gifts to your rivals, your divisional rivals in the playoffs. Okay. The Carolina Hurricanes were gifted Jake Gensel from Pittsburgh. They were gifted Kuznetsov from Washington. to get Carolina where they are today. And again, that's why I do applaud the Islanders for going as hard as they did against Carolina. Because, yes, even though they went 4-1, the Islanders could have tilted that in another direction. But Washington and Pittsburgh made that personal. Their chances of making the playoffs were even slimmer than the Islanders. And they basically said to Carolina, here you go. Beat New York for us. Not just the Islanders, but beat the Rangers too. That's personal. When you are gifted 2 players in your own division, and it's like, here, beat New York for us. That's personal. You don't do that. That's a Stanley Cup run you just gave Carolina. I don't care if they lose to Florida. And yes, as much as I hate the Rangers, there's a little slither of me that if the Rangers were to take out Carolina, I'd be all right with that. Because I think we're all in agreement at the moment that this could still be Florida's conference to lose. That's my take on this upcoming Rangers-Carolina series. I hope Rempe goes nuts on all of them. I do. I don't care about Carolina at the moment. So, for me, do I want the Rangers to win? No, not really. Would I like to see the Rangers take over Carolina? Yeah. And then Florida beat the Rangers? Most definitely. So at the end of the day, am I going to be a Florida Panthers fan for at least this Eastern Conference? You damn right. I don't want to see the Canes anywhere near the Stanley Cup. I get that. And I'm not necessarily rooting for the Rangers here, Tommy. But at the same time, I really don't want to see Carolina succeed the way they did. Look at you. You're all, stop it. Stop it. Yeah, over the years. But, we're talking right now. Thank you. Someone's on my side here. Thank God. Okay. You don't do that in the division. You don't. They got gifted twice. Great move by Carolina, no doubt. But, you don't do that. I know the Rangers need to be eliminated. Relax, guys. This is not 94. This is not 94.
You poked the bear.
You notice, Joe, he did this all by himself.
I did. I love doing this to you guys, though. All I ask is if the Islanders are going to sign Clutterbuck to a 4-year deal, let me do it. Let me break the news. Let me do it. I love pissing you guys off like that. I really do. I enjoy it. They robbed us of Tarasenko, and they may as well give us, a 4-year deal for Clutterbuck. That'll work. So, all right, real quick. Any other thoughts on the NHL playoffs? Any other games striking you? Are you really surprised? LA's down, Joe, 3-1. Give me your thoughts on Vancouver and Nashville.
Vancouver, I think, wins the next game. I think they're going to come out and win the next game. LA, I had them upsetting the Oilers, but too much firepower.
Yeah.
Too much firepower on that team.
Yeah. I think LA can still extend that game. I think they can go, 6 games or whatever. I think LA's still good enough they can do that.
I can't see them. I can't see LA winning in Edmonton tonight. Just Skinner for a change has actually looked pretty decent.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the litmus test. If he could come in smoking, then I don't see, and that's where I don't see anybody challenging Edmonton, because they're going to put the goals up. There's no question in my mind. I mean, if the way McDavid can go, he can have another couple of wild games, and he's going to have a shot to break those scoring records in the Stanley Cup Finals. No doubt about it.
Joe, are you disappointed we haven't gotten a lot of overtime games?
Oh, yeah, of course. You know me, I love the overtime games.
We love overtime, boys and girls. We really do. We really do.
That's the best.
That's our favorite part. Yeah, because now we're not a part of the drama anymore.
And we
We're
and
not
they
a part of that
remember they
problem.
ran out, right? Paul will know they ran out of food in the at UBS.
Yeah, they did. They ran out of
Wow.
food.
They ran out
Yep.
of food.
Wow.
And to my credit, I wasn't going to bring it up yet, but during that second overtime, before the period started, Joe, I did call the Islanders that game-winning goal, and it was going to be a short one.
He
And
did.
sure
He
enough,
did. I heard it.
racked up
Nice.
that one. Yeah. So,
Nice.
all right, listen, boys and
That's
girls,
why his
real
head's a
quick,
little bigger.
just a little bit.
Well, listen,
but
guys,
I
I
was
got to
happy about
jump
more.
out. So let me
Okay,
say
go
goodbye
jump out.
now before you start your next
Yes.
segment.
Yeah,
All right,
where can they
Gary?
follow you?
All
Joe,
right.
be good, brother.
On X at Joe Panettiere.
Okay.
All right, Gary, take care. Go to ball. See you later.
Yeah, oh,
Captain Gutterballs.
I hate him and I love him at the same time. He's just such a jerk. All right, so listen, boys and girls. Been doing a lot of the research on the 2024 NHL draft. I've been watching a lot of AHL playoff games along with the NHL games. Yeah, we are talking draft now very, very quickly. I believe the Islanders are going to be drafting, I think 17th or 18th, somewhere in there. And as Gary pointed out, you're looking at 6 million. This is a draft that really reminds me of 2019, which means we are officially 18. Okay, thank you, Randy. Okay, so we're 18. Yeah. This is going to remind me of 2019. And what does that basically mean for Islander fans? It means that this next draft pick probably is going to take 4 years. A la Simon Holmstrom, a la Samuel Bolduc. Good players, going to take some time. And what's interesting about 18, you can probably have a few good players slip after 12. And they could fall right into the Islanders' laps, depending on how patient they want to be to draft. Some of them are wingers, some of them are defensemen. But then you're also at 18, and you've got some decent looking centermen who are in that 18 to 22, 23, 24 range, where you could just start drafting a decent defenseman with enough time. They should be okay. Okay, so it is officially 18. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking right-handed D. This is what's the interesting part, boys and girls. And I'll get deeper into this as we start talking about the draft itself. The Islanders have put themselves in a position where they can start the next wave of development for their players. It not necessarily like an expansion draft, but you know how you normally start with the goalie out and whatnot. They're not an expansion team in terms of that. They do have some players in the system. But if you wanted to start the next wave of future Islanders, if you were to start a team now going by just the draft, this is the draft to do it. So if you're going to draft a centerman, you can do that. If you want to draft a right-handed defenseman, you can also do that. Those are usually what you're looking for in the first round, unless there's a can't miss winger. But if you really wanted to build a team, you can do that where the Islanders are. So the question is for me, do the Islanders keep that pick and wait the 4 years? Or they put it in a package to help the team now? And I've said this before, the Islanders don't necessarily have to trade the pick. They've got enough prospects right now where, yes, they'll fill in some middle six, bottom six, and depending on Alex Jeffries, maybe a top six. Moving forward. I love promoting the kid, but I'm not going to go too far with him. I'll stay balanced on this one. And yeah, Randy, I'm going to plug you in right now. Randy's got his early draft of his draft picks ahead of time. I don't publish mine just yet because there's still some filtering to do. But yeah, folks, with 6 million in place, you've got about 4 or 5 restricted free agents. You may have Cal Clutterbuck coming back at least. I would not be surprised if the Islanders made a move or two at the draft for any kind of help that they may need right now. Yes, absolutely. And this is one of those interesting drafts, John, where you could probably draft someone in the second round and he may be better than most of the first rounders. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Um, yeah, I'm going to bring up Adam Juracek at the moment. He's a right-handed defenseman. That could be a Simon Holmstrom situation. The kid's been injured all season. He could be a top 10 pick if he was healthy, and he may slide down to 18. But the problem is he still hasn't played. He's not even playing in the World Championships, the under 18 World Championships. So there's a lot to look at, and that's why I'm not really posting anyone specifically just yet. I want to know where the Islanders, where some of those other players are from the World Championships when the Memorial Cup is over, where the combine is, and go from there. But you know what? With Pellick, yeah, no, and you can do that. But you know what? Just from a prospect standpoint, the Islanders do have some centers and they do have some wingers. What they are lacking is that right defenseman. They're lacking in the right defenseman. And as a matter of fact, I'm watching the AHL playoffs as well. There's a player or two I would love the Islanders to sign as free agents and kind of pull like a Julian Gauthier type of deal or a Hudson Fasching deal on that right-handed defense. If they can pluck a few of those players, I would not care who the Islanders drafted. I think that would be a best player available, and whoever is there on that Islander list. And for me, that's going to make it very, very difficult for me to predict who they're going to go after because the Islanders list is usually different from everybody else's. And Tommy will tell you that because we did a draft party in 2019. We had all of our picks except for Simon Holmstrom. So, who the hell knows? Justin Gill does look solid, but I don't think he's going to be an NHLer. I think he's going to be a solid Bridgeport player, and what he does in Bridgeport remains to be seen. So,
is he kind of? I mean, I've seen some stuff on him. Is he just kind of one of those Q players that just puts up a lot of numbers and it just doesn't
no,
translate?
he actually has a 200-foot game. He does have a decent 200-foot game. He does play the penalty kill. He's on the power play.
Mm-hmm.
I would put him as a Quebec Maritime Hockey League player, something similar to like a Bo Horvat.
Right, but a lot of times what I'm trying to say is a lot of times those Quebec League numbers are more inflated than some of the other leagues. These guys got great numbers, but when they move up to the next level, it just doesn't translate into that kind of up crescendo that you'd think they would have.
Right. Yeah. And that's one of the lessons I have always learned. Yes, they look good in juniors, but that doesn't mean they're going to translate to the pro game. Oh yeah, no, we'll talk about that later on. That's definitely an off-season topic. Make friends with Craig in Calgary. Work to help him get, Tij. Tij meaning I think Tij is going to go to Calgary. In all honesty, Tij Iginla, great little winger. I don't know if Calgary is going to let him go by. He just got into the under 18 World Championships for Canada. Biggest sleeper, Tommy, I'm not gonna lie. There's a couple of them. I really haven't narrowed it down yet. Juracek is too obvious. So I'm still taking a look at a couple of them. I'll let you guys know in a couple of weeks. There's still a lot of again, it's May 1st. I usually don't have that answer until about June, especially after the combine and whatnot. So for me, the work is still there. I'm still watching AHL playoffs. I'm watching the NHL playoffs. I've done enough on the Islanders prospects. And yes, we do have prospects. It's just we're at a certain level now with the organization where the prospects that we eventually draft, they're going to be coming into the organization where it's going to be tougher for them to make the team, and that's what you really want. Yeah, no life at the moment. No life. And I admit that. Absolutely. This is all research, folks. So, but having said that, I still think the Islanders can make a trade or two. I think, for example, if the Islanders want to clear a little more cap space, but still do a retool, I wouldn't mind. And again, this is all conspiracy theory, nothing planned out here. I don't even know if Buffalo would do it. But if you wanted to get a retool real quick and still draft in the first round, you could do something like J.G. Pageau, Oliver Wahlstrom for the rights for Victor Olofsson, and Peyton Krebs. Peyton Krebs is a fourth-line center, 23 years old. Olofsson's rights. He's a 28-year-old winger who can score goals on the first line if you put him there. You can do that. Throw in Oliver Wahlstrom. I don't know if you would have to throw in the first rounder. I don't think so. But you can do a small retool like that. You immediately get younger because let's face it, that first line at the beginning of last year, you had Anders Lee. Now you got Olofsson, who's like going to be 28, 29. That's Bo Horvat's age. You put someone like Olofsson with Horvat and Barzell, you can do that. You can sign Olofsson to a contract, but then, you've got $6 million. Who other players are you going to have? If you're going to do a retool, what else, although you're also going to, not have Peugeot's $5 million as well. So you got $11 million to play with, and you can actually work like that. The other thing I'm looking at from this draft and what you can do as a retool, if the Islanders do decide to do, or if they continue to do their retool, is Simon Holmstrom, Gary, going to be on that second line next season with Nelson and Palmieri? Because on the third line, let's say they do that trade. You have McLean, you have Krebs, and for humor, you have Clutterbuck. On the third line, you can go Lee, Cizikas, and Enval.
Right.
That would get you through. Then you would have Holmstrom, Nelson,
And Palmieri.
And then you bring in someone like Olofsson, Horvat, and Barzell. Olofsson definitely upgrades the power play, no doubt, but you're losing someone like you're losing someone like Pageau with your faceoffs and your penalty kill, but you were last in the penalty kill anyway.
And obviously, it's not going to take Dick Tracy to figure out that, he's going to. I definitely think he's going to change his defensive coach. I think
right, and
Huda
coaching
will be gone. I'm not so sure about Johnny Mack.
Right.
Because obviously the connection. I would. That would be a bad PR thing to do, is fire Kyle McLean's dad.
Right.
But
if you give John McLean someone like Olofsson, who's I don't want to say a power play specialist, you give Matt Barzell.
He's a very good power play player, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and you give Horvat and Matt Barzell another weapon. That kind of makes the whole line dangerous. Todd, what do you mean by this question? Going in with an expansion, and what will happen so we can get ready? What do you mean by that?
There's no expansion draft.
No. I'm saying the Islanders, where they are at the moment, if they wanted to build a team for the future, kind of like an expansion draft, this is the draft to do it. If you wanted to build from the defense out, if you want to build from the centerman out, you can do that with this draft. You can basically build your future team with the first two picks. And they'd be quality players. It's just going to take a little time. Do they extend Nelson over the summer, or do they write out his final year? Again, I don't know. For me, again, following Alex Jeffries, Alex Jeffries can play center. He can also play wing. Danny Nelson was the top freshman center for Wisconsin in the NCAA. He was one of the top freshman centers. I don't know based off of that. Could Alex Jeffries be a number two, be the center in 2 years? He could be. Could Matt Barzell be that center in 2 years? He could be. What does Matt Barzell want to do after Brock Nelson retires? Or if he resigns? I don't know yet. It's such a good question. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of a window. I don't know if that's going to be a question that's going to be entertained July 1.
Right.
I think it might happen after they look at, who they may be able to get, or who, the kind of things that Paul was suggesting before. How do you retool or rechange a couple of things, then decide what you can do with the guys that you may want to keep for a longer period of time.
Yeah. The funny thing is, folks, that the Islanders, believe it or not, they've been retooling and rebuilding at the same time for like the last 5 years. It's just been a very weird way of doing it. Honestly, this has been like I don't want to say a master class, but this has been quite a learning experience for me, following the draft and watching how Lou's been doing everything. I'm not praising Lou's accomplishments. He's literally trying to build up the minor leagues basically from nothing and trying to keep the team afloat. And it's honestly been a lesson for me watching and from a distance watching what he's been trying to do. I'm not saying, it's spectacular and everything's working, but it has certainly been an enlightening lesson to see what he's been doing. DeBrusk, too pricey, maybe, but DeBrusk probably would be the one guy I would be looking at, because for me, DeBrusk is probably the closest thing to Casey Zizekas, who can score 20, 25 goals. He can play in those corners. He can get aggressive, but he can put the puck in the net. I don't think
older
Boston's
people,
going to let him go.
For all of you older people, it's Patrick Flatley with a lot more speed.
Yes, absolutely. That's an excellent comparison.
Thank you.
Yeah. Brett Pesci, I think he is from Long Island. I don't know if they go after him. Yeah. No, I love his game, John. No doubt. If it's 4 teams, that 80 players times 4 out of the player pool that there is today, if we go young and draft picks, this organization will be better off with a full house of young stock throughout the franchise to let loose after expansion. I used to agree with that. I used to go along with that. I don't. For me, if you're going to go the Chicago route, the Anaheim route, the San Jose route,
the Arizona route,
the Arizona route, it's very, very dangerous. These days, it's very, very dangerous. Players don't want to wait 5 years to get into the playoffs. Players don't want to wait 7 years to get into the playoffs. It's more of a win now. We've seen what Tampa's done. They've retooled a little bit, but they've remained in the playoffs. Florida has retooled. They've remained in the playoffs. Boston's done the same thing. The Islanders are doing the same thing. It's everything all at once. Ottawa, everyone was praising Ottawa. They didn't even come close. Buffalo was probably the biggest disappointment. Buffalo hasn't been there in 13 years.
Detroit hasn't been there in 8.
Yeah, Detroit's now at 8. Okay, I understand where that used to happen, and I'm actually going to start that when I start going over the rest of the organization and the draft, probably in a couple of weeks. I'm going to get started on that, on why I think it's a bad idea. And I'm going to go back to the mid 80s Islanders and tell that story real quick. And because I think that's, for me, that's where I think the Islanders, looking back, probably should have done things differently, but they didn't because that's the only thing they knew back then. Where we are now in a league where there is a lack of talent. And I've said that on the show before. There's a lack of talent in the NHL. It's taking more time for teams to literally start from the bottom to work their way up. The Rangers, yes, the Rangers got Alex Lafreniere that first year, but they haven't really done anything since, even with the signing of Panarin. Let's be honest. Yes, this is their year. You know, they made it to the second round a couple of years ago. Yes, they won the President's Trophy. But in all honesty, folks, what are the Rangers going to do in another year or two when Kreider and Panarin are both old? Okay. The Rangers are in more trouble than most people think. And God help them if Jonathan Quick doesn't have a season like he had this year. The Rangers are in trouble, folks, if they can't pull off the miracle like they did this year. Jake is going 9 million. All right, so real quick, those are my thoughts on the draft. Real quick, it's gonna be fun, but I think if the Islanders can make a trade like that, if the Islanders can make a trade at the draft, I think that would benefit them. And if they can draft in the first round, that money. Yeah.
And if they don't,
yeah, no doubt.
Paul will be doing this.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Water cooler talk time. Luckiest team? I don't think so. I got to give credit to Jonathan Quick. He should be an honorary. He should have been an honorable mention for goalie of the year. I really do. The Vezina. I really do. Not enough respect for that man. But he got himself another 1-year deal.
Yeah, go back and check our show from late September, early October, and I'll tell you what we thought, especially what he looked like in the preseason to what he looked like right after the season started. Yeah, amazing what he's done. Amazing.
Yeah. Todd, I love this one. More reason to get the whole system refocused on winning. I'd like to see him win in EHL and AHL and finally NHL. And that's the team in my fantasy. Well, look, Todd, excuse me. They are there, believe it or not. Okay, and I will cover Bridgeport in a couple of weeks. They let a couple of veterans go. They let some of these kids develop. There's another crop of college kids coming in at some point. It's not all barren and, dead like some of the others would like to say. There is talent coming in.
Yeah, they just had such a horrible start that despite the last 15, 20 games, they were remarkable. They were playing unbelievable. Guys were really working together. It actually looked like a team. But they were so far down, there was no shot in hell they were going to make it.
They had no scoring whatsoever. None.
No.
So that's all coming in. Right. That's all coming in. The East Coast hockey team, the Worcester Railers, they almost made the playoffs. They're almost, and again, there's another influx of Islanders who were drafted coming in from Europe. They should also be helping out Worcester as well this year. So everything you're talking about, Todd, everything you want to see, it should be happening next season. That's my hope. This is the year that I was finally hoping to see a lot of these prospects that were drafted between 2019 and now finally coming over. McLean coming over, fourth liner, yes, either at center or left wing. I think your fourth line center is either going to be someone the Islanders can bring in through a trade, or it's going to be Casey Zizekas, or a little bit of both. Who knows? But I think McLean certainly has earned his job next season.
He got a few shifts on the third line too, and he did not embarrass himself in one iota.
Any chance we see players like Pajot and Pellick get moved, get a younger D-man, clear space, and try to get a UFA or two? I think because of the draft, the way things are situated right now, because of the Islanders cap situation, I would imagine that the Islanders are going to go trade. I think Peugeot has more value than Pellick at the moment, just simply because of Pellick's injuries,
Contract.
especially this year,
And his contract.
and his contract. For me, Peugeot certainly has value to a team looking to help with faceoffs and penalty kill and whatnot. Um, Not saying the Islanders are going to trade Peugeot, but you know there are ways. And look, I know Tommy, Marcus Holberg. Your thoughts? He's your number 3. Holberg has done a decent job over in Sweden. He's put up some decent numbers in the Swedish Hockey League, which means he'll be decent in the American Hockey League. I think Tikkanen is going to share some time in Bridgeport and Worcester again, but this time he's under contract with the Islanders. So now the least the Islanders have done is that they've kept him in his system. I think they'll keep Skarek and Holberg for this year, but I think this will be it for Skarek. In all honesty, if they even keep him that long, we'll see what happens. Again, this is an off season where the Islanders can do some shuffling. But Holberg, for me, he's got some NHL experience, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for those, in this case, Julian Gauthiers. You're looking for the Hudson Fashions. You're looking for guys who probably play in the minors, but they've got some National Hockey League experience, and Holberg has that. Barzell's, they move on from him to shed cap space and back in. No.
No.
Sorokin needs to bounce back. If he does not, it will not be good. I've said this on the show many times already. This is probably the one season Ilya Sorokin has never experienced in his career, and in a way, not that I'm glad that it's happened, but I think as Islander fans, I think we can lower our expectations for him next season. And I think what that's also going to do is that it's also going to, I don't want to say force, but I think it's going to have the Islanders find that winger for that first line to get a little more offense in. The Islanders are good with 240 plus goals. Chances of them making the playoffs is over 80 when they do. But if you can get a winger for Horvat and Barzell, I think that would help Sorokin's confidence immensely. Because then it's not all on him. It's not all on Varlamov. Like Gary said, the coaches will find out. If the penalty kill certainly would help Sorokin's numbers as well. Not getting outshot basically 3-1 in every game also helps. So there are other things going on that will probably help Sorokin's confidence. And again, I think God help the rest of the NHL if Sorokin makes that one tough save and that just sparks everything. You know, he gets in one of those Sorokin saves, go right ahead, you know.
And we know he's capable of it.
Yeah. Gary, your thoughts on Sorokin?
Again, I absolutely agree. You know, I mean, we may find out in the next couple of days. I just, you know, it's basically like a power hitter that just goes through those slumps. You know, you can see he's doing everything right, but he's just getting a little bit underneath the ball, or, you know, something in the timing, something in his hips isn't doing the right thing. Goalies are so, to me, unbelievably perfectionist type of people. And just something about this, something in my spidey senses thinks that he just wasn't the same. And again, as we know, his KHL career and here, he's never really had a year like this. He's never had to deal with numbers, you know, when his save percentage is only 9-0. You know, that's not the Ilya we know, and it's not the Ilya we've seen. I just write it off as a bad year. Players have bad years.
Right.
Look at Barzi's numbers. We know he's had a couple of seasons where he's been disappointed. Other guys on the team the same way. But unfortunately, when the goalie has a bad year, sometimes it gets overinflated. But I think that his, you know, again, I always look at the personality, and I watch seeing what he's doing, outside, and everything looks like he's fine. So hopefully it's just a good off season, get him back moving and get him back to being the Ilya that he is. I have no doubts about it. Maybe this is, like I said, it's a good learning experience for him, and hopefully that makes him come back even better and stronger.
He meant to say Brian Straight. That's cute. Okay, we'll play it
Yeah.
there. Can McLean kill penalties? Yes, he can.
Yes, he can.
What are we offering for Marner? Don't say Sorokin. No. I don't know.
Somebody's got to go in Toronto. That's a definite.
Yeah,
We know
yeah.
that, but I don't think there's any way that he would come. He would come here.
Power first line is so huge if you want to compete for a cup. I can't stress how important that is. Absolutely.
No question.
Absolutely. And we're going to now dive into we're not doing that this show. We're going to give you guys a few weeks. We're going to let you guys enjoy the playoffs.
Well, I get time off.
Yeah, no, you can get time off, but we're gonna address that topic of competing for a cup. How close are they? How far away are they? I just want to make sure that the Islanders kind of do their own thing here up through the draft, because I know a lot of people are saying the Islanders are not anywhere near a cup contention, and I'm not buying that, only because again I don't have a life. I don't have a life during these times. There's a couple of small pieces and just a couple of small moves that the Islanders can make. That could they compete? They might. I don't know if they get past the West, but the
Again, you look at
division
the team.
title, a shot to get into the Eastern Conference Finals next year. There's a shot for that. There's a shot for that again.
But the team's got to get younger. The team's got to get faster,
Right.
and it has to change its. Again, I really think Patrick got everything he could get out of these guys, but now the philosophy, now that you've got the summer to work on it, it's got to change.
Right.
And maybe
Did Lambert overwork Sorokin? Yes. That's an easy answer.
That's a no-brainer.
Happy debate. What Dobson's next contract will look like? He'll be the highest paid one. I would go. Let's see how his next year is, and I will defend Gary on this one. I don't think we have still seen the best of Noah Dobson yet.
No, we've not.
And that's not even fandom talking, boys and girls. It's not. This is debatable, but as far as I'm concerned, I think Noah Dobson is your number one star this year for this Islander team. You don't have Noah Dobson doing what he did. I don't even think we're talking playoffs. Randy, fire everyone. Yeah, that's what Calgary should do.
Yeah.
You know what? I think there's going to be a decent extension there. I don't think he's going to get the $8 million. I think he knows who he is. And I think by that time, I don't know. I'd say 6.
What is he making now?
4.
Is it that much?
I don't know.
I'll look it up.
I agree, James. No. You are eating crow. Yeah, no, I thought Romanoff and Dobson, for what they were going through this season, I thought they were very good in the playoffs.
Romanoff makes 2.5.
2.5?
2.5.
Yeah, I'd go solid.
I'd go
5 or
up to
6.
5. I'd go up to 5.
I,
If he gets his offensive numbers up, I would go higher.
yeah, but again,
I
these
think it's
are
the
younger
offensive
kids,
numbers that would
right?
keep him down.
Yeah,
Because again,
yeah.
he's
No,
only
something like
24
that.
too.
We're all in the same here. 5 or 6 for Romanoff. And again, something else I'm gonna preach on. Watch that collective bargaining agreement, folks. Watch
2
that
years away.
collective bargaining agreement. That could be a big game changer. And again, we'll talk about this in the offseason. It bothers me that every single player is getting long-term deals. It's almost a warning sign. Okay. Every young player, every old player are getting long-term deals. That it's usually generally not a good sign because you're getting security.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Telling you that right now. Got to get rid of Pellick. I'm going to say no to that. I'm going to say no to that. And the reason why I'm going to say no to that is that if Adam Pellick does become injured, that contract now becomes an asset. Look at what Vegas has done.
Look at what Tampa does.
Look at what
Look at
Tampa
what
did.
Toronto does. You got an $81 million cap, and you got teams like Vegas that are spending 90-something million dollars. And in the playoffs, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Ryan Stone gets hurt, a good part of the year, and all of a sudden, game 1 of the playoffs, I'm healthy again. I'm contributing. It's like adding an extra player on.
You're
Like
adding a
making a
credit
trade for
card.
day 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, folks, when you have someone going, and again, we don't want Adam Pellick going on the LTIR anytime soon. Okay, let's make that clear. But any player who goes on the LTIR, you are essentially being handed a credit card to add to your cap space. That's what LTIR is. You're adding a credit card to the cap space. You are allowed to charge whatever that contract is, and you're allowed to spend that up until that limit. Yeah, Mark, we answered this before. We're not sure on Martin. Clutterbuck, we're pretty sure the door is open for Clutter to come back. I see him coming back. Joe sees him coming back. Gary?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I think he's got an opening, and I mean, he won't make the amount of money he's making now. Although that's not a lot, but 175. But give him a 1 year, 1 million.
Right.
The man's played 82 games. He's deserved it, and he hasn't. Well, to me, I won't say losing a step, but he's still got a defined role on a team like this.
Right. And just getting back to Adam Pellick real quick, folks. Let's say there's a contending team who needs that cap space. We can give them that cap space for a first-round pick. Ta-da!
Mm-hmm.
Adam Pellick is what, $5 million? We said, right?
Yeah.
That's a first-round pick.
5.75.
Okay, that's a first-round pick, boys and girls.
Yep.
That's a first-round pick. If they want the cap space that badly, sure they can. So no, do we want Adam Pellick to get injured? No. But do you really want to trade Adam Pellick at the moment? No. Because then that becomes that becomes an asset to the Islanders. The contract becomes an asset. With the full no trade. That's okay. Tommy, if he's injured, it won't matter. Like, we've seen enough injuries out of Adam Pellick where we're all getting nervous here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if Adam Pellick, in all honesty, takes one more Gallagher hit like that,
Yep.
we don't want to see that. But again, we're all looking at that. It's like crap.
And again, you come all the way back to the CBA.
Yeah.
And that's the 1,000-pound elephant in the room, is that
Right.
CBA coming in 2 years and what
Right.
it's going to be.
Right. Oh, and I agree, Mark. No, we do need to get faster. And like I said, in the beginning of the show here, I made up a phantom trade proposal where we do get younger, we do get a little faster. It's very easy to get something done if they really wanted to. Someone brought up Oliver Wahlstrom. Oliver Wahlstrom for the rights for Victor Olofsson? Maybe. Or if Wahlstrom doesn't have any value, you keep him until his value goes up.
Yep.
It's like I said before, Oliver Wahlstrom, his biggest issue this year was that Kyle Palmieri had a healthy season, just like Cal Clutterbuck did.
Yep.
That's what's holding some of these kids back. These vets actually stayed healthy
And produced.
and produced.
Did anybody sitting in here think Kyle Palmieri was going to get 30 goals?
Not 80 games played. I didn't think he was playing 80. I thought
No.
I had him pegged for 60.
Yep. So you guys playing way above expectations.
Yeah.
And again, anybody who listens to the show all knows our feelings on Oliver. He stunted his own growth. And that's a problem you got to deal with. And that's why I think they're more careful now with some of these kids and not trying to push them. Because you've got talent. You've got so much talent down there that are going to be good. But if you bring them up too quick, you're going to ruin them.
Right.
And Islander fans can tell you from Dave Chizowski on, we all know what's happened.
Right. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the beginning of the path to the draft coming up. I'm going to talk about those mid 80s.
Yep.
And I'm going to talk about why the way Lou is doing it is something I wish Bill Torrey would have done. Of course, it's like almost 40 years ago, but they didn't do it back then. They didn't have to. They were relying on the drafting. They were relying on, the free agency and whatnot. But it's amazing to me what Lou has been able to do just to keep the team afloat. Not keeping them in contention, not making them Stanley Cup contenders or playoff contenders, keeping this organization afloat. So, yeah. 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 And yeah, we are going to get into some of that. Is Luke keeping his job? I'm going to go yes. I'm going to go yes for now. Oh, Gary, I don't know if you heard. I don't know if you guys heard. I know Randy told me, but then a couple of other people told me as well. And I'm hoping this is humor, but there is a rumor that Dale Hunter is going to be the next GM of the New York Islanders.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I mean, I praise him for the work.
You imagine that.
I mean, I know he's done a great job
with
in
London.
junior hockey with the London Knights.
Yep.
It is.
Randy, where are you?
Yeah, his things speak itself. But yeah, oh God. And have Turgeon as the coach.
Oh, Mark Hunter? Is it Mark Hunter? Is it Mark or Dale? Make one of them.
Dale has been the GM and owner.
Yeah, like I don't know if they can become GM unless they sell London. I know. Any of the Hunter brothers, that's not going to go well.
No.
Oh, no. You want to lose the fan base. You want to lose at least half the fan base. That's how you do it. Oh my God.
Everybody over 50 will walk out.
Okay, I thought it was Dale. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Darcy Tucker is an assistant GM. Can you imagine? Oh, oh my God. I thought it was funny though. It was funny, but not funny at the same time. I'm like, that's one of the worst ideas to replace Lou with. Oh, they would actually be riots. I would stay in PA just to watch the riots. Oh, so no,
Well, on that
I'm
note,
in agreement with this. No, no, no. So, all right, listen, boys and girls, we're gonna close it up here. Um, again, for those of you watching, make sure you visit ChristineSt.Lou.com. She's got wonderful men's, women's bracelets,
yeah,
Islander colors, Mets colors, Yankees colors, everything. They are phenomenal. I'm not wearing mine now. I'll
I'm
get
not
yelled
wearing
at
mine
later.
either. Sorry.
Listen, go on there. You hit the promo code Isles Talk, you get 10% off the price. Quite a few Booster Club members have purchased them. I know Joe's purchased them. They're really, really nice, and I don't wear them often. I did wear them to the game. I even got my younger cousin looking at it. She's like, "Oh, that's nice." I'm like, "Well, there you go. Have Dad pay it for you." But no, hit that website. Take 10% off when you put in Isles Talk for your 10% off promo code there. And ladies and gentlemen, you can also find us, please, on Isles Talk on X, Facebook. Hit that like and subscribe button on both Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you like the show, the shows itself on YouTube. It helps big time with all of us here. And it's just going to help us expand the the
Our
show
world.
even more. So, do you want to do a show next week or do you want a week off? What do you want, Gary?
It's up to you.
All right. Well, we're going to play it by ear, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I'm almost done with the prospects. I'm almost done, not necessarily with the draft, but I would love to get started on like the state of the Islanders for you guys. It's certainly looking better than the last 3 years. And this draft, I don't want to say make or breaks it the Islanders, but this is where the Islanders can take a legitimate step forward in their organization. So I'm going to get into that fairly soon, and we'll go from there. So thank you guys for coming on once again. Gary, where can they find you on social media?
Met63 on X. Again, I don't tweet often, but I'm definitely on the lookout. So definitely give a shout if you do want.
Oh, I do like this one, Tommy. Mick Makotic with the assistant GM. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So, all right, boys and girls, thank you so much for coming on. Let's go Islanders. We'll probably see you next week, and we'll discuss the topic. Maybe we'll talk playoffs. But definitely in a couple of weeks, stay tuned for my yearly annual State of the Islanders path to the draft. So, everyone, have a great night, and we'll see you probably next week.